guys, so this is the right triangle trig review. So if you're watching this video, it's because you need to review the right triangle trig that will get you going for this lesson, okay? So if you remember from geometry, right, this is a right triangle, and across from the right triangle, or the right angle in the triangle, excuse me, is always the hypotenuse, okay? So we're going to be doing trig, and depending on where the angle is, it's going to depend on which side we call the opposite or the adjacent, okay? So from this angle, if this is where my angle is, the opposite side would be on the opposite side of the angle, okay? The adjacent side is going to be the one that is right next to it. If we have the same triangle, but we're going to focus on the other angle, okay, so again, the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle, but this time the opposite side is going to be on the opposite side of the triangle, and adjacent would be next to it, okay? So remember, trig is the sine, the cosine, and the tangent, right? And they are just ratios between the angles and the sides of a triangle, okay? Sine stands for the opposite over the hypotenuse side. The cosine stands for the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so again, it's just a relationship. It's just showing you the ratio of the sides given whatever that angle is. Okay, so let's run through a quick example. If we have a triangle that looks like this, and I ask for the three trigonometric functions, okay, you would do sine, so the sine of my angle, okay, we're going to look for the cosine of the angle, and we're going to look for the tangent of the angle. So here's our angle. Let's go do sine, right? So remember, this was SOHCAHTOA. Okay? So sine. So I need opposite and hypotenuse. So from my angle, opposite is 15. Hypotenuse is 39. And that's it. If you can reduce the fraction, absolutely reduce the fraction. And we can, for this one, we can divide by 3 and get 5/13. Okay? Let's do the cosine of the angle. So ka, right? Adjacent and hypotenuse. So from your angle, this side that is adjacent is 36. Hypotenuse is always that 39. And so I just write it that way. And again, I can divide by 3. And so I'm looking at 12 over 13. And then the tangent is going to be the opposite side over the adjacent side. So we're looking at 15 over 36. Again, divide by 3, and you get 5/12. So this is just showing you the relationship of the sides. We're going to talk in the next couple of days about what that angle actually is, okay? But for now, we just need the relationship of the sides, okay? The other thing that we need to review really quick are some special right triangles. So the special right triangles are going to be the 30, 60, 90 triangle and the 45, 45, 90 triangle. So here are the two triangles that we need to review, okay? And every 30, 60, 90 triangle, the sides are, they measure this same ratio. They have this same ratio in them. Okay, every 45, 45, 90 triangle, the sides have this same ratio. Okay, what I want to do is I want to find those three trig functions. So I want to find the sine, I want to find the cosine, and I want to find the tangent of all of these angles of 30, 60, and then 45. Okay, so let's get started with the sine of 30 degrees. Okay, so remember, the sine is opposite over hypotenuse. And so if I look at my 30 degrees, opposite of the 30 is a 1, and my hypotenuse is 2. So the sine of 30 is 1/2. The sine of 60 degrees, so if I look at my 60 degrees, opposite would be √3, and hypotenuse is 2. So the sine of 60 is the square root of 3 over 2. If I was doing the cosine, let's do the cosine of 30 degrees. So if I look at my cosine, remember cosine is adjacent in hypotenuse, and so adjacent from 30 is root 3. Hypotenuse is 2. Cosine of 60 degrees, remember cosine again is adjacent over hypotenuse. If I'm looking at my 60, adjacent would be 1, hypotenuse is 2, and so the cosine is 1/2. All right, let's go do the tangent. So the tangent of 30 degrees. So tangent, it's SOHCAHTOA, right? The more you say that, the more you're going to remember. 30 degrees, here's my 30, so let's go to the opposite side over the adjacent side. So I'm looking at the opposite side is 1 over adjacent is root 3. Now, I don't know if you remember rationalizing denominators. Let me go do that really quick up here for you in this little space. But remember, you cannot have a square root in the denominator, and so you have to get rid of it. And you do that by multiplying by root 3 over root 3, right? Remember that 1 is the only number that you can multiply by that won't change the value of anything. But this is also going to get rid of the denominator, right? So if we multiply across, 1 times the square root of 3 is root 3. The square root of 3 times the square root of 3 becomes the square root of 9, which is 3. So if we rationalize this denominator, the tangent of 30, being 1 over root 3, we're going to get root 3 over 3. Okay? All right, let's go do the tangent of 60 degrees. All right, so again, let's go focus on 60 and SOHCAHTOA. So I'm doing the opposite over adjacent, so root 3 over 1, which is just root 3. Okay? All right, let's go look at our 45, 45, 90 triangle down at the bottom and see what happens with these. So let's do the sine of 45. Now, the nice thing with the isosceles triangle and the angles being the same is it doesn't matter which 45 you focus on. Okay, what does matter is that we do the ratio correct, and we do opposite over hypotenuse. So from my 45, opposite is 1, hypotenuse is root 2. Again, if I rationalize this denominator, you're going to end up with the sine of 45 being equal to root 2 over 2. All right, let's go do the cosine of 45 degrees. So again, it doesn't matter which 45 you look at, but the cosine, remember, is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent side is 1, hypotenuse is root 2. And so the cosine is 1 over root 2. And again, if you rationalize that denominator, you're going to end up with the square root of 2 over 2. Okay? And then last but not least, let's go take care of the tangent of 45. Tangent, remember, is opposite over adjacent. So if you look at your 45, opposite is 1, adjacent is 1, and 1 divided by 1 is just 1. So hopefully that helps you with your review of what right triangle trait is. Okay?